was lined up. Half of the folks got inside. Me myself, I was blocked out because some of the officers that was there, they know the organizer.
I need to be in the meeting. I'm a resident of the public housing.
Let the people in! 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 Meaning, let those people in!
When I got there, my daughter Kawana was already in there. One of the activists, she was standing up. And then I just heard the police actually say to move.
Ain't no order until the rest of our people get in here. Let the people in!
And all the police just started jumping on people, and it was chaos.
They had voted 7-0. That's when the riot started on the outside. Because those folks wanted to come back home. But after they heard about they're going to demolish them, that's when the war broke out.
This is one of the public housing development that's supposed to be demolished that had over 1,000 some families living here. I mean, it just hurts my heart to see all this, you know what I'm saying? If you look in this pile of debris here, you will see children's clothes, you will see bedroom sets, everything except the bricks and mortar that's coming down from these buildings. This is all people belongings, went to waste. My stay here was 27 years, and that I had been back here in B.W. Cooper. I had seen a whole lot over the years because I raised 5 kids myself. You can see, here's a family here. Here's a family here would stand here. Where did these families go? Some of the folks that lived in public housing really couldn't afford the outside rent. Some of the Section 8 people weren't allowed to live in certain neighborhoods. So it was a good thing for some of the less fortunate people in raising a family. To me, it's just like a war zone. It's like somebody that dropped a bomb here and just boom, dispersed everybody. Everything came out of the building.
Remember, coming right after Katrina, the environment here was toxic. You had, in more ways than one. A lot of people were wondering if they would ever be welcomed back into their own city. There was a divide that occurred racially between blacks and whites, and that turned eventually into the greatest conflict of all, which was which neighborhoods should be rebuilt. Should we rebuild all of them, or should we do a downsizing of the city, shrink the footprint, if you will, of New Orleans? In the city right now, we have huge contracts that have been let for demolition of housing. So if the money's there to demolish, not to rehab, you're going to demolish. The action follows the dollars.
Come on, Ron. Something else. You can say something nice.
This is my beloved wife.
Yes.
Yeah. So like I said, we married young. She was 16, I was 17. You know, I was a wild one, she wasn't. Hit the leg for me, make wine. Dance for Papa. Oh man, look at me wine. Yeah, make wine. Yeah. This is Robin, one of my little granddaughters. This is my sister. This is my daughter. And this is my beautiful little bitty grandbaby.
Well, he was a good worker.
Yeah, he a good provider.
You know, like, I didn't have to work.
Provider-wise, yeah, you never had to work.
Until I wanted to, and I started working and going to school. Yeah. I got tired of being at home. And I went back and got my GED. Because I didn't finish school because I got married so young.
But he care about, everybody. He's a people's person. Whether he know him or not. And he care about the community. I'm sure, he made it known. Yeah, he a good daddy.
People always outside the housing development had a bad thought about living in public housing. But coming back here, we had the support. We had a roof over our head. We had a place that we can call home. But in order to have a great life back here, I had to be a role model for my family, for my kids.
The problem with what happened with public housing post-Katrina was this. They applied a universal standard to all developments regardless of the damage that was suffered. You had the Lafitte project, which you could stand in front of and see no water entered most of the units. And people were banned from retrieving personal possessions, family photographs, clothing, things that were fine that they could have retrieved shortly after being allowed in the city, weren't allowed for months to years later. All the way through to the St. Bernard housing project, the same things happened, where you had a lot more water damage going on there. But by aggressively closing the housing projects without instituting a transitional housing plan at that moment, it rang all the wrong notes along race and class lines in the city. It did send that message to folks that we don't want you back in the city.
I have a daughter in Dallas right now. I have a son in Mississippi right now. The other four are here. My daughter want to come back. My granddaughter's always calling me. She told me how they come here when they can. Because as a family, one thing I try to keep my family, we look out for one another. If you need, I'm there. Since I've been in New Orleans, I've moved twice. And I want to move because I want to feel comfortable. I want my house to be my home, and I just can't adjust. I want to go back to my community. I was a part of that community. We helped build that community. And it's gone. And the people are gone. And there's just taking all these different community of people and just got them all just crowded together. And people just not accepting it. They're not just fitting in. My foreparents helped build this city with their blood, sweat, and tears. You heard me? And I know it was some of it was before integration, so I know what they went through. Now, you gonna tell me I don't have a place here no more? I don't think so.
Pre-Katrina families from New Orleans public housing developments are probably either living in a public housing unit here in the city or on a tenant protection voucher if they're from one of the big four sites. Or if they're not from one of the big four sites, they may be on a disaster voucher, or if they're not living here in the city, they may still be on a disaster voucher somewhere.
When the storm hit, folks were given vouchers. These are folks who had never lived anywhere, the majority of them, they'd never lived anywhere but that housing development that they lived at. They got the voucher and they went somewhere else. They saw probably a better scale development than what they were in, they had to be. And they said, wow, it's different out here. It's better out here. And I have the freedom to do what I want to do. I'm not locked to this unit or this property. If every returning resident went to that property, was provided a housing choice voucher, a permanent one, they in essence are receiving a one-for-one replacement because that voucher will pay for that market rate rent. And that to me is healthy.
A voucher does not equal a house. A voucher is a piece of paper. It's not an apartment. It's not a long-term affordable resource to your community. So, if we had enough people that said, you know what, I'm going to take this piece of paper and I'm going to move out of New Orleans with it, then that means we end up losing forever affordable housing stock in our community.
As a planner, what you'd want to see when you're redeveloping any sort of neighborhood, but definitely when you're dealing with mass demolition and reconstruction, is a visioning process that involves the residents, whether they're potential residents, actual residents, future residents, but something representative of that group. If you know it's not going to be those public housing residents in particular coming, you should draw in public housing residents from some other location, involve them in the process. Other stakeholders in the area, community groups that may be active in the area, as well as the residents that are in the impacted neighborhood. That never happened in anything. There was not even a census done of where the public housing residents were.
All public housing residents in New Orleans were displaced after the storm. They were forcibly told to leave their apartments. They did not have a choice. Private homeowners and others did have a choice. The first response to their displacement, FEMA administered voucher programs. The voucher programs ensured displacement. The voucher programs were not necessarily a good thing because vouchers are a direct government subsidy to landlords. And right now, vouchers are hot. They're trying to voucherize public housing across the United States. So the vouchers ensured the dispersion of public housing residents and blocked their coming back into their communities where they could be together, where they could organize and they could rebuild their communities.
I just returned back in 2007. Living in Houston, you know, you may be getting a little bit more assistance out there than you are in New Orleans, but it's depressing because this is home. Everybody want to pass their judgment about public housing. You want to know what's going on, you got to come in the community and see what's going on. It's like you making a decision about something you know nothing about.
There are a number of really negative stereotypes around public housing, which for the most part are false and wrong, but unfortunately they are guiding our decision makers. So for instance, the first myth is this idea that all the crime in the city happens around and because of public housing. And so you have to destroy public housing in order to lower the crime and the murder rate. Well, we have the highest per capita murder rate in the country. And we were featured as having one of the highest murder rates in the world. But we have no public housing. The next one is this assumption that all people who live in public housing are people who don't work and who simply want to get rich off of the system. But the fact is, about 80% of people who lived in public housing worked.
You see, to me, it just was a place where people live. A lot of people live and raised their families and they moved on. When they educated their children and found better jobs, they moved on. It's not a place where these people stayed forever and didn't get anywhere, you know. That's why I say, you know, you don't burn the bridge that brought you over. Let some more people come across that bridge.
Can y'all get a move? No, he doing it. Okay, right. Come on, everybody move up a little bit.
But today we're here to particularly address the failures of our local government. The Nagin administration and the City Council have done nothing to smooth the way for our people to come back home. Homelessness has tripled, rents have tripled, the public housing units which are livable are still closed, and we're here today to say that that must stop.
The mission is for me in New Orleans is to make sure that people have a right to return, better housing, better communities. It's a people-led organization. Housing is a human right. We want to make sure that everybody be treated equal.
We've been to the storm, and it's still storming out there.
Yeah, right. That's right.
But we are gonna overcome the storm.
Yes, we are.
Because we're gonna fight this battle.
Yes.
Sam is one of the only black men that I see out here fighting. He said he was talking to me on form this organization, and he asked me, and my daughter, will we be a part of it? And I know by us being strong fighters like we are, it should be a strong organization. And I told him yes. I'll be a part of that, a part of Mayday New Orleans.
And I will be here until they open public housing on their doorstep. I feel no justice, no peace.
St. Bernard Public Housing, which is my community. I have been living there 40 plus years.
I have 2 grandkids, and I also have 4 kids of my own. I have 2 kings and 2 queens. I've been active, like 20 plus years. Residents would get put out for non-payment of rent or 3 months rent. When they couldn't speak up for themselves, they would come to me. What we used to do is on holidays is go get the turkeys or the hams, and we'll make sure every elderly have food on Christmas and Thanksgiving Day. I represent the New Orleans Workers Center and Survival Village, and when I have time, I go try to help out Mayday New Orleans to try to organize things. But I'm just a person, I always have been a community person, because I'm one of those guys that's not afraid to stand up. I'm one of those guys that's not afraid to say what I have to say.
So those are the purposes clause. If you flip over, basically Article 4 says you basically have all the powers that not-for-profits have under Louisiana law. Okay, you're going to sign this last sheet here. You see where it says your name and the date. We work directly with Sam Jackson and helping him to think about his campaign strategically, the framing of it. One of the things that I help Sam with is thinking about it within a human rights framework.
If you got houses where, at one point you had $450 rent, everybody's not on Section 8. People are working and gaining their income. If you take all of that for a house, $1,000 a month, what do they have left to feed themselves?
I don't say public housing, I say community, because when I look at it and I go out there and fight, I'm not only talking about public housing, you have to talk about the core community.
Right. Sam, who's a resident of B.W. Cooper, he was one of the few public housing residents that was able to move back into his apartment. But even though he was secure, so to speak, he still really saw and recognized the detriment that those demolitions would have. And one of the ways that Sam continued his resistance was by founding Mayday New Orleans. We're a support organization because we believe that real change has to happen from those who are directly impacted. I can only do so much in New York, but you need to tell me, Tiff, this is what we need. Tiff, this is what we need you to do for us, and that's the role that we serve, right? Mayday New Orleans is a people-driven and inspired economic and social justice organization. We believe that active participation from community members is essential to ensuring that basic rights such as adequate housing and safe streets are met. We hold government, the private sector, and those who work on behalf of communities accountable for their policies and practices.
This meeting was supposed to be where we at now, how we gonna respond to the government by sending a team of people here to find out, what is really going on and get a congressional hearing here. What government facility that we plan on attacking if we don't get no response?
Okay, good question. Advocates across the region were enamored when we heard that the new HUD Secretary, Sean Donovan, was coming here to visit and to see just how bad things were.
Yes, who know him by sight? I don't know him by sight.
He's got to have a picture at his website.
This is Sean Donovan.
I'm gonna tell you, if we don't get to see this guy can go back to Washington and say what he want to say. We're gonna have 4 units. Have people with cell phones stationed at Hanover office building. We have folks at City Hall. We have folks over there at the Federal building. We don't want Donovan to go downtown at the Harris Casino and see the Harris Casino. We want him to come speak to the community.
If we get some press today, you should make the point that if Donovan came down here just to meet with a bunch of real estate developers at City Hall, then meeting with the people who demolished all of our public housing, right?
Same people.
So what kind of advice is that going to be?
Public housing is a human need. Public housing is a human need.
I'd like to call for an executive order to stop the demolition here in the city of New Orleans. Yeah, but I had a appointment with Sean Donovan.
He's not here though.
Oh, you have an idea I can come back?
Whoever gave you that name and that's when you contact him.
He actually here in the building to handle administration. We know Donovan was up there, but the security gave us a house in front of the building, so I figured if I just come here and sit here on this corner, maybe I get a chance to talk to him. But right now, I'm watching him. I'm gonna give him a few minutes, and I'm gonna see if he's gonna come out. And if he do, my deal be made. That's the house. That's some guys down there. Why, could I get in there? I'm a resident.
Why y'all protesting?
We ain't protesting.
Yeah, y'all have to.
No, we keep this. Yeah, y'all hold that. Well, no, we ain't protesting.
Let us in. Let the people in. Let us in. Let the people in.
We want justice. We want justice. We want justice. We want justice. How you doing, sir? Are you one of these?
Yeah,
you want to handle it? If I can get to talk to him just a one-on-one as a resident of public housing, who are you working for to come out here and get this type of information?
I'm not trying to get information.
Well, you're trying to tell us to respect the Secretary's speech. You come out here to stop everything that's going on, but we want to know who are you working for personally?
I work for HUD right now. I just started.
They go a bus over there too, look. I just want to give him a call. That's all I want to do, and I'm going to disperse.
They're not going to take any cards.
Oh, not? Nah? Mr. Donovan. That's Mr. Donovan? You want to know him if you see him. That's Sean Donovan right there, that guy right there.
Yeah.
Mr. Donovan. Huh? I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, they're not going.
He was in that red Tahoe, and he left. That was his crew. Are you an animal official? You don't work here?
Just a citizen.
Oh, okay. So we looking for that secretary, man.
Let's go knock on this door and see Sean Donovan is here. Let's knock on. Sean Donovan, where you at? Say, come on, Mr. Donovan.
I think I see his toe over here. Oh no, I really don't think he in there. This is we know he alive. But you know he in there though. You think for sure he'll be here tomorrow? Oh, you don't know?
We gonna catch him.
Hello, Sean.
Donovan!
So this is the International Advisory Group on Forced Evictions, okay? They include experts from all over the world, okay? What they do is they are advisors to UN Habitat. UN Habitat is a organization of the UN that deals with issues of housing, evictions, all of this, okay? And I'm gonna be very clear and very straightforward with what I'm about to say. This advisory group visit is coming because of you.
First, I think it is very heartening to the local residents to see that their group of folks from different parts of the world and who will report back to the United Nations who really care about what's happening and who believe that there's something going on here that requires investigation and change.
The main problem relates to the decision of demolishing the buildings without any consultation and the participation of the people. So it led to a situation where the residents didn't know where to go, where their future will be, and what the feasible alternatives they will have to get homed after the demolitions.
This morning, the International Advisory Group on Forced Evictions is investigating the current housing situation in New Orleans. Today, they begin their 6-day investigation into forced evictions and the lack of affordable housing. Joining us to tell us more are Tiffany Gardner, an expert member of the advisory group, and Stephanie Mingo, a local resident and member of Mayday New Orleans. Well, Tiffany, go ahead and tell us what kind of forced evictions are being discussed or investigated here in our city.
Yes, well, the demolition of public housing, that is a forced eviction. So the independent experts, we will be here speaking with residents of public housing and hopefully Hannah and HUD as well to determine what has been the aftermath of those demolitions, how communities are faring.
I see. Now, Stephanie, you've been are you a victim of a forced eviction, and if so, tell us your story.
First, I was evicted and
from the St. Bernard
public housing
development. Okay.
Yeah, from the St. Bernard public housing development. I was evicted. I was relocated in the Ivoryville public housing.
So, what would you like to see done for you and others?
Well, first of all, I would like to start building a relationship with our local government officials, but I would love to go back to the St. Bernard development housing.
Well, and what we really want to make sure, I should say this, is that the communities come out, all communities come out, and really tell this international delegation of housing experts what's been happening to them, telling us, their personal stories of forced evictions and really the struggles that they've been having since Katrina.
Again, they're hosting a town hall meeting at McDonough 42 Elementary. That's on 1651 North Tonti Street. The meeting runs from 5 until 8.
You seem like an expert, and she seemed very calm. She was. No, I'm not trying to make you feel good. You look perfect.
Thank you, sir.
You was calm.
Mary, they have hundreds of families who losing their voucher getting terminated because Hano put them in a situation where they know they couldn't afford to pay $500 to $600 with their voucher when their income is only $674 a month.
I'm a young single mother of 2 kids. I live in low-income housing. I don't consider it as low income. I pay $800. I pay rent. I pay light. I pay water. I pay gas. All that by myself.
We are the third world country. There has to be civil strife in America. If we don't get back to neighborhood block organizations where you can go to state representative so-and-so and say, I have 572 votes at McDonough 42 and I'm voting against you. You're going. That's what needs to happen.
It's like they forgot about us. Please, go back and let them know that we still suffering from Katrina. This is like a nightmare. It was a nightmare, like Twilight Zone. It took me out of my world, and my world went upside down ever since.
I thought good things out of public housing. I have 4 kids. I have 3 kids in college, and I have 1 kid, 17, in senior high. And I think I did good as a single parent. And that's why I'm trying to pass my blessings on to somebody else.
I am 5 days away from being homeless. I get $5.79 a month. Tell me, I got a whole envelope here. Not part, nothing but prescription. I ain't never got filled. Tell me how I'm doing.
Yes. Could you wait your time to speak?
I just want to speak.
Well, could you wait?
I want to leave it out now.
Yeah, we about to close out. We about to close out.
We are all going to have as much time as I can possibly make this space available to speak during the town hall portion of this meeting. Hold no more doesn't have to be an expression. Scared about housing doesn't have to be an expression. We can do this. We gotta be organized. We gotta be strategic. Keep showing up at the meetings. When Sam calls you out, go. When Stephanie calls you out, go. And we gotta let people know, especially our politicians, they don't have the power we do. I'm not hearing you. All right, thank you.
Our big local story.
Rachel, coming up on 4 years removed from Hurricane Katrina, still housing challenges remain front and center for many New Orleanians. That's exactly what a UN advisory panel was here to address.
This advisory committee will be here until Wednesday.
Though the report is not finished, they say the conclusion will be that the government failed in following the United Nations guiding principles on displacement following a disaster.
Brick building is what CJP used to look like, and there were maybe 50 buildings just like that. It was a major development.
I've been here 6 months. I've lived on the street, not having my own place and not being able to afford rent. And this was a good place to squat, as we call it.
An employee for Handle, she was even threatening the residents, telling them if y'all don't be out by the end of March, that we will have the police to come and put you out.
So right now, the resident is not believing Housing Authority about rehabbing the buildings because you then told St. Bernard that, you then told Lafitte that. They did rehab the buildings in Lafitte, but they also told them right back down.
From far back as you can see, all this was a community. When the storm came, they had 990-something units occupied by families. When you look at these buildings, and you look at the brick and mortar that's still standing, and you look right where we got off the car at, those houses look like they're made of plywood. How can you replace that? You know, how can you feel safe and secure coming back into a community?
Housing Authority in New Orleans post-Katrina and decided to solicit bids from developers to redevelop.
Right.
We were selected as one of those redevelopers. Right now there were 900 plus or minus former public housing residents who were displaced throughout the United States. United States.
They're all from St. Bernard.
But they're from St. Bernard.
I want to know if all 900 could actually be rehoused here.
No, mathematically no. Mathematically no. 300 of the 900 said we want to come back. 233, we have public housing units. All the residents who left here left with a voucher. They took a voucher with them. So we can take the 67, the shortfall, and put them in the affordable units with your Section 8. So if 300 people all qualify.
So given all of the rules and conditions to qualify to come back, what percentage of that 300, approximately 300, given all those rules, what percentage of that 300 will not be able to come back in because they won't qualify under those rules?
I don't know statistically. I can guesstimate that maybe 25% may not be able to make the cut. We do have criteria for coming in. Now, I know that's an argument, that's an issue for some people, saying that, you know, if you committed a murder, you should be able to come back. If you committed a rape, you should be able to come back. If you committed a pedophilia, you should be able to come back. We can't have those rules. Hold it. I'm not part of displacement. I'm post-displacement.
They pimped us out our homes. They pimped us out our homes.
I talk to Miss Jasper all the time.
Right.
Now she's calling me all these names, but you don't call me these names privately.
I'm only quoting. I haven't
Wait, let me just make sure that we explain.
You called me a pimp.
I
said
you called me a pimp.
I said we are being pimped.
I gave you the...
I didn't say
You need to control who you
have been. So what do they care about me and where I live and how I live? Yes, I meet with you, but when I meet with them, I tell them just like it is. They have everybody want to return, but they can't return. Living out, we have a right to be out here fighting. Yeah.
My old lady used to iron, but I'm a bad ironer. Knock the wrinkles out. This morning we're going to visit with the city officials, some of the city officials. I'm quite happy about the visit. Quite sure that a lot of folks that did come to the town hall meeting, they were very surprised. That's why we had to bring them to the United States to give folks a little bit more confidence
We visited public housing communities that are being threatened with eviction, and they're being forced to live with the fear of losing their homes and their communities again. We see a process that is not based in human rights values or principles. And frankly, we see a process that is not based in compassion. Right now, we're going to take this information to Washington, and we're going to meet with as many officials that are responsible.
I want a surprise in Washington. That's what I want. I'm already excited about it, but I want to see the expression on their face.
Saying when we meet with HUD this afternoon, you should tell them outright, the residents of New Orleans, when they meet with Sean Donovan,
right,
and let him know our concerns. And if you can do that, we'll do another freaking town hall meeting. Let his ass sit there and have all those people come up to him just like they did us. And then you tell those people you can't do anything for them.
Definitely.
That's what we do.
When I got to HUD office, I thought maybe we'll be able to have contact with Sean Donovan. He refused to meet again with us. We met with his staff. Before we got to meeting with his staff, they contacted me, told me that in order to get a meeting, I would have to take down the video that I had on YouTube. You know, I kind of wanted to meet with him so bad. I assumed, said, well, we'll take it down. I didn't see any content into the video that's saying it was embarrassing. I was embarrassed because I couldn't see him. You know, his staff said, what goes on with Sean is our business too. So we'll be the people to come down to meet you. I mean, the response was good, but it wasn't 100 complete. You know, because we knowing that HUD is already at fault for the demolition. Maxine Water lots of time. She well educated about the situation that's going on in New Orleans. She spoke about talking to some of the HUD officials about some of the rules and regulations that they have to cause the folks to be evicted. I really liked her attitude. She said that we need those families that's living in public housing to come out, do a little bit more rallying around public housing to make those folks in Washington know that people down there are together. They're concerned about the way of living. I've seen that she is for the people. We got a strong support of the federal officials in Washington. After 5 years, I do hope things get better. I like to see big changes in the new administration. We want victories, not just only in New Orleans. We want victories around the states. This is what we will call a real victory. Last time I was here, they used to have a building standing right here, which was about 6 months ago. The government fenced it off. You don't have nothing here now. To make a better community for yourself, you the one have to make the community better for yourself. Maybe would like to see that what was said about the people in public housing is not true. Every type of person that's living in public housing is somebody. Lots of folks saying that it's all over with. In my eyes, in my way of thinking, that it's not all over with. This is a fight that has to be continued fight until we get justice.